I come from a medical family. My great uncle, my father, my mother, my mother's junior brother and sister were all doctors. My sister herself became a doctor, and the subsequent generations there are also other doctors. The important thing in my own life was that I grew up in a home where there were two very dedicated general practitioners. My mother and father worked endlessly for their patients. They were on call, and they went and did home visits, as was the custom in those days, to rich and poor alike, giving the same level of service whoever the patient was. My father would take off his hat and his coat and leave them either on the chair with no wallpaper, or else give them to the butler when he went in to the big house. And my mother was a wonderful GP. She was very careful and very thoughtful. And when she went to Cardiff, there were only 4 women GPs in the city. So she didn't have a long time to wait before patients came to see her. She took me when I was a clinical medical student one night, when she was called at about 1 o'clock in the morning, to the upstairs room of a small side street house, a terraced house, where a woman had pulmonary edema. There my mother gave morphine, and the patient was left comfortable and quiet, and I saw excellent medicine in the context of the day, done by my mother in the middle of the night, when she would have to get up and do the ordinary work of a GP the following morning at 9 o'clock. It was an example, and my father was a scholarly GP who studied books and kept on buying books throughout his life, annotated those books with the names of patients in the margins of his books. I went to Cambridge after Shrewsbury and was rather out of my depth initially, and only came round really to getting the benefit of the university, I think, in my 3rd year. But when I went to Cardiff, to the new medical unit, where Professor Harold Scarborough had recently been appointed Professor of Medicine, his inaugural lecture was Authority Observation Experiment. It was the era of authority in the physician, and he turned that upside down and said we must make observations tested by experiment and not just be content with the authority of the old. That was seminal to me. Harold Scarborough brought to Cardiff a new challenge, not to rest on authority and the opinion of experienced physicians, but to observe carefully and test by experiment. And this was very important to my whole understanding of medicine, and has really governed much of my ideas since in clinical science. When I was a clinical student, disease was rife in South Wales. TB was everywhere, and I got tuberculosis, pulmonary tuberculosis. I was pretty sick initially, and then at 6 months after I'd been in hospital, I had a thoracotomy because it was customary to remove any radiological evidence of disease. And it was a beautifully done operation. So I had experience of being an acute medical patient and an acute major surgical patient, which actually has been a great help since in my talking to patients.